So you're outside today.
Yeah, and in Milford, no less.
That's
by the
fast travel.
by the magic of electronics. I
Well,
think go ahead.
That's all right. I'm in outer space.
Oh, wow. Looks to me like you've landed on a planet there.
Yes. In the C-57D.
C-57D.
Yeah. See, do you know?
I have no clue.
It's Forbidden Planet.
Oh, I thought it might have been what was the one with the kid? Something or another of a second kind or whatever.
Oh, Close Encounter?
Close Encounters,
of
yes.
the third kind?
Of the third kind. Okay, I get it right.
That was yeah. Yeah, that's
the saucer, I think there was similar to that.
Well, a lot of producers and creators have taken inspiration from that movie because it was one of the first and it was one of the best.
That's true.
It wasn't cheesy. It was actually a really good movie.
Yeah.
So, Gene Roddenberry, if you look at 90% of the ships in Star Trek, they've all got a saucer that looks very much like that.
Yeah, on the other hand, the Millennium Falcon certainly didn't adopt the kind of a thing.
No,
it was much more creative than this. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of a 1950s space cadets kind of a thing. So,
well, that particular model got reused in a half a dozen different TV programs because budgets were small, so they reused stuff all the time. But
including, by the way, the videotapes, those that were using videotapes. As a consequence, a lot of those original videotapes are no longer available.
Yep.
Because the tape was so expensive that they had to recycle it.
Yep.
Talk about a short-sighted view of things. By the way, you will notice that my background is functioning a little better today.
I see that.
And I think I figured out what it is. It depends on the content of the background image. And if you keep it on the green side and not too bright, it seems to
work better.
Do better. So I'm over the next few days, I will go through my pictures and see if I can pick out something. This is straight out the front walk in my house in Milford there on Terrace Ridge. So
I realized that mine is not actually using the green screen at all. Mine's just got the background chopped out. That's why sometimes I disappear.
Well, but your video, your arm gets shorter there. But you're using a very dark background too.
Yeah, most of the backgrounds I've got are pretty dark. Yeah.
Yeah, so that seems to be the trick. If you use a bright background, apparently it doesn't work quite as well. Now, I haven't upgraded the Zoom software for, oh gee, I would guess a couple of months now. So I don't know if that has changed at all or not or whatever. So James, how you doing?
Doing good.
Good.
Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun. We
They're
need
gonna
theme.
use- yeah.
We need theme music there, Jim. you need to get yourself a piano there. I can see Jim sitting there at the piano.
Dun dun dun.
They got light therapy for us with heart disease, aging hearts from disease.
Okay.
They got light therapy for that.
So where do they shine the light?
I guess you watch it shine the light. It's not heat, but infrared. They're doing it with rats and they're exposing them to the light. And it's looks like they're saving some Mises from severe heart disease. And they're starting to experiment on humans. So we should be ready.
Okay.
All right, let's see what else we got. Batteries. They're going to be building 1 gigawatt hour batteries in Kentucky, scaling up to 2 gigawatts hours. Okay.
20 gigawatt hours.
Yeah, it says 20.
They're going to be scaling up to 20 gigawatt hours. That's production, I think. 20 gigawatt hours per year. Look, a jumperless breadboard. You plug your board into the breadboard and you just stick your components on it. You don't have to do wiring. The wiring is magic.
Okay, I'd be interested in knowing what kind of magic they use.
Yeah. Yeah, you might want to read that article and then you can explain it to us. But they showed a breadboard and they had a resistor on it and a LED, and that's all that was plugged in to the breadboard. Except that to the side there was a dual inline, like the Pico plugged in.
Interesting.
It's a PVC with a header on one side of it that you plug your microcontroller in, and it goes out to the underside of the breadboard, and each pin has its own line.
That's interesting.
I mean, it would be easy. It would be easy to duplicate that.
But
What's magic is nobody thought of doing that before.
You just plug stuff into it, and the interconnections are programmed.
Oh, okay. So you don't have to worry about the rows and the columns on the solderless breadboard.
You don't have to use jumpers.
You don't use jumpers.
Your jumpers are soft.
So like your one row would be one column would be connected to, no, it's probably one row. One row would be connected to like pin 1, and the other side would be like pin 2, and so you'd have.
But it's software programmable. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the magical part of that is no one thought to do it before.
Okay.
Apparently it's microprocessor driven to do the interconnections.
Well, that
So
would make it more compatible with different boards.
So your routing is done on the by programming the microcontroller. Okay.
Yeah. Well, not your microcontroller, but the microcontrollers that are underneath the board, the breadboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's
This Roku is telling you about a lot of channels. They don't tell you about some good ones like top 10 hidden Roku and Roku gems every cord cutter should try. One of them is Cloud, KLOWD. You got Euro TV and France 24. Those are some good ones for the European news. Looks like the hybrid Corolla is going to be cheaper. It's like 21 to 26 grand for a hybrid Corolla. Huh.
That's interesting. Wait a minute. It is the 2023. Okay, so they must have already released that then. If they're going to do it in 23, the 23 model.
Well, the 23 model year normally starts in what, September or something?
Well, but the 23.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The 23 should already be out, right?
Yeah, the 23 model year would have started in September, October of 22. They're always like 4 months ahead or so.
And I haven't figured out the Toyota Corolla. They got a GR Corolla, which is, it looks like it's a 3-cylinder. And it may have a blower on it too. Huh. So a lot of stuff, Toyota's doing a lot of stuff.
Well, they got the market and they've got the money, so.
Yeah.
And then the Japanese, boy, when they get their teeth into something, they pour money into it. So, at any rate, that's cool. Adafruit, oh, that's last
week.
Last week, okay.
New CAN bus, they've got some boards with a CAN bus built into them.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like what the other serial stuff, but it's CAN bus. It's a standard CAN bus is what they use on cars. And it uses a regular, like the SDI, it uses a differential signal as the main thing. And differential is much more, you can drive it for longer distances, and it's compatible with a lot of stuff for cars. Okay.
But it's particularly specific to the automotive electronics. So
yeah.
It's not used much in industrial, like automation controls in factories and so forth.
I thought that's where CAN bus came from, was automation control.
I think it's in terms of where the market has settled.
Oh yeah, well,
it is more in the automotive business. The Detroit's electronic gurus,
yeah,
that being an oxymoron, they figured out that they can't screw that up as easily. To put that in perspective, I've cast your memory back to the Ford Pinto of 1974-75.
I don't need to remember that car. Nobody really wants to remember that car.
I actually owned a 74, believe it or not.
I had a 71. It was a good car.
A Pinto? Or
I had no trouble out of it.
Until somebody hit you in the rear end.
Well, yeah, nobody hit me in the rear end, which explains why I'm still here. Yeah. But it
I didn't realize
the engine had the 2K German built engine. No.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a 2-liter engine. I didn't realize they were released in 71. I thought they weren't released until 73, 74, but okay.
I said the one I think was the first year.
Okay, that would make sense. I had a 71, but it was a different horse. Let me think about it. I had a 66 Mustang. And I had a 71. Can't remember what the heck the horse was in that year. And I had a 74 Pinto.
Did you,
And a 74 Pinto convinced me to start buying Toyotas.
did you have a, see, there was a pony, wasn't there a pony? And there was a Colt, wasn't there?
The one I'm thinking of is a Mustang.
Okay.
They had the Mustang 2 was the Pinto knockoff.
That was the pony. The Mustang
okay.
2 was the,
That was, yeah, but that was later now. That was in, I think
Yeah.
that was in the 80s.
yeah, that was when they tried to bring the Mustang line back the first time.
I saw the famous Mustang emblem, you know, the galloping horse,
Mhm.
on the back of a thing that looked like a small SUV. And it was a boxy SUV. It was a car that I didn't recognize.
What was it new?
Well, relatively new, certainly in the last 10 years. May have been the last year for all I know.
Was it the EV? Was it the Mach-E?
I'm not familiar with that one, so I swore off of Ford products in 79 after the 74 Pinto self-destructed. Let me put it that way. Actually, it self-destructed several times.
They're much, much better now, though.
Oh, they are? Well, that doesn't set the bar very high. No, it wasn't that. No, it was more of an SUV. No.
The first model that they made really, really, really looked like an SUV. The second model looks more Mustang-y, like that.
Mm-hmm. No, this wasn't like that. This was
Yeah, I'll see if I can find a picture of.
This one had all the sex appeal of a Humvee. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much that. You probably saw the first model. The
Could
first
be.
model looked like somebody went over to their CRV or their Ford Focus and said, "Here, let's just stick a Mustang emblem on it and put an electric motor in it."
Okay.
So the first model, I think, drew so much hatred from its looks that they had to go back and make it look like a Mustang.
Oh, this is like Tesla's truck.
Yeah, yeah. The thing that's not really a truck.
Yeah, the one that one of his VPs threw a brick through the side window. I thought I saw that live, and I thought, boy.
that he's taken right out of the playbook of Microsoft, doing the demo for Windows 98, plugging the USB port in. Oh, it's blue screen. Says it.
Yep.
Says everything. Oh, you can't shatter this window. Yeah, sure you can.
You would have thought they'd done a dry run on that.
Well, they all, I mean, Microsoft did it. Everybody's done something stupid up on the stage like that.
Well, probably the most famous one I can remember is Scully. If you remember who Scully was, this is the vice president, one of the presidents of Apple that Steve hired, did a Coke and Pepsi taste comparison and got it wrong. He identified Pepsi as Coke. And I thought, you didn't have somebody in the wings saying, look, the one with a blue label on the back of it is the right one. So, Steve, is this your new digs?
Hello.
Hello.
This is my office at home.
Oh,
I'm sitting
So-
at my desk. That's Marla's desk behind me.
well, she's got a classy looking desk. So
Um,
what was this rumor that you mentioned that you had changed jobs again or gotten
Not a
new-
rumor. Not a rumor. Tomorrow is my last day at Siemens. Monday, I start at London Computer Systems up in Mason. So we'll see what
Got
happens.
a worse commute, that's for sure.
Yeah. But on the plus side, it's about 2 miles from my mom's house, so I can have her make me lunch.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So London Computer.
They have an application, software as a service called Rent Manager, and it is a web-based deal with your rental properties, your rental users, everything from integrates with ads placed in the paper to final eviction notice and everything in between.
So is this a startup or has this been around?
Oh,
for
no,
long?
no, no. They've been around a while. They've been around a while.
Okay.
They're pretty stable.
I would dare say not as stable as Siemens.
Probably true. Yeah.
I mean, Siemens, I think, predates World War II, if I recall correctly.
Siemens predates World War I. Siemens damn near predates the U.S. Well, no. Started in 1899.
Okay. Well, I
But-
guess that,
by 2 guys in a garage.
yeah. Dave and Bill was probably someplace in the fatherland, I would assume.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I haven't got my ID card on me, but I could show you a picture of the founding Siemens fellow.
Okay.
That is not a Mustang, whatever. Though honestly, it'll probably outrun a Mustang.
Yeah, it's one of the Mach-E's. That's, but Art was saying that he saw a SUV with a Mustang logo, and
Yeah.
I can't seem to find a picture of what he actually saw.
Well, at this point, I mean, basically I was riding, my wife was driving, and as is usually the arrangement, I'm hanging on for dear life. And we passed this car and I thought, that was a Mustang logo. How could that possibly be? But for all I know, I mean, some guy took a Mustang logo and double sticky taped on his back, but it looked like it was, you know, it was part of the car. It wasn't something that somebody had hooked up.
that model that I just showed you definitely has more of the SUV swoop to it than the
Yeah,
previous model.
that might have been it. As I recall, it was white, but
Color doesn't really matter. But
well, unless it comes to keeping it clean, some colors,
yeah.
show the first speck of dust.
Black is horrible to keep clean.
Oh God, yes. Black is the first bug spot shows up on it, and you're over. You've got to back and get it detailed again, and so forth.
As soon as a bird flies overhead,
Oh yeah.
they look for the black cars. Boom, 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 boom.
You also have to be careful where you park. You park under a tree, and they will. Oh, look at this guy.
I've just gotten to the point where I live with it. It's fine. Whatever.
Yeah. It's all natural, so to speak.
It will eat your paint though.
So Siemens was how long, Steve?
A little over a year. I started there the Monday after Thanksgiving 2021. So a year and however long ago Thanksgiving was.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's interesting. So
I have worked for very large companies a couple of times, and I have always hated it. This was no exception. I keep forgetting what I don't like about big companies.
I have
fun while it lasted.
I have exactly the same experience. I've worked for 4 large companies in my life. The first one was RCA, which probably some of you aren't old enough to remember when RCA was a company, as opposed to a trade name. And then I worked for General Instrument Corporation. And then the last one I worked for was Kaiser. I'm trying to remember what the third one was, but I hated them all. I mean, the day that I left each of those, I was real happy to drive out of the parking lot. Hey there, how you doing?
Long time no see.
Where you been, Mike?
Under a rock. I've been late.
Oh man.
I've been trying to learn Python.
Oh, okay.
You got to speak to Vicente about that. Yeah.
Do I?
Yeah, he's going to town with Python.
Yeah.
I like it. I took Visual Basic years ago, and I like it better than Visual Basic. And you go online, there's nothing on Visual Basic. There's tons of stuff on Python now.
Well, that doesn't, in my opinion, that doesn't set the bar very high. And, I mean, Python is great, but Visual Basic I was never particularly enamored with.
I took a Visual Basic class. I had to have been 20 years old, so it had to have been like 30 years ago. And everybody's sitting there struggling. Of course, I had already had Basic. I already, just regular Basic. I'm sitting there typing everything in, and everybody's trying to drag and drop and stuff. And I'm like, why are you doing that? You can just type the entire program in and then go put your blocks where they need to go. It's fast. It was quick,
It was like 20 years ago when I took Visual Basic.
Yeah. Visual Basic was, I didn't really particularly care for Visual Basic, but I got through the class. So
I don't know why.
It's a good stepping point, it's a higher up than a machine language, and then you migrate it into Java, they say. So I'm pretty ignorant, so that's a good starting point.
Well, I remember the first time I went to a visual machine was Apple had, after the Apple II, they tried introducing a visual machine. I don't remember what the name of it was. I actually owned one. And of course, I had worked on command line since the, I suppose, sometime in the 60s. And I was really confused. I was very confused.
No,
I
before
figured,
that,
pardon?
Before the GS?
were you talking about the Apple Lisa?
No, the GS.
Really?
I have as, and as a matter of fact, it's still sitting on the shelf in my garage. I had an Apple GS. Long story how I got it, but in any case, I had an Apple GS. And I think it only lasted for one model. I mean, it basically, the Macintosh came along and blew the whole thing away. And of course, it wasn't cross compatible. So, you know,
The story that I heard about the GS was because all the schools had 2Es, they were trying to introduce the visual part of it, which is very, very similar to the original Mac OS. But because everybody still had peripherals and stuff that worked with the 2E, it needed to be compatible because schools were broke and couldn't afford to buy new. So they made the 2GS that had an Apple IIe connectors on it so that you could use the 2E peripherals with it. And it had an Apple IIe mode to it. So you could actually get to an actual real Apple IIe and use it like you would normally use it or before. And then it was a transition to get them into the Macintoshes.
well, that's the exact story of how I got into it.
Yeah.
Because I was on a school computer committee for my youngest daughter, and they had been sold a bill of goods, shall we say, by Apple, saying, you know, if you all buy GSs, we'll give you a special price, only double what it was worth. So, so I ended up buying one. And that was back in the days when computers were the
Expensive.
dollar for horsepower was relatively a bad trade-off.
Yeah.
So I've got one of these things, and I used it and so forth and so on. And my daughter used it. She was born in 81, and so she was 6 in about, I don't know, late 80s. So she used it and used it at school and used it at home and so forth and so on. But she'd already worked on what was the TI that came out in the early 80s?
Well, there was the 99.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the TI 99, but that was not
No,
graphics based particularly.
no.
I don't know which is more interesting, Leroy on outer space, Lost in Space, or Out or Art sandwiched between two houses.
Well, that's the approach to my front door in Milford. It's the garage is on the left and the dining room's on the right, and the front door is behind me. Well, is in front of me as the picture appears there. So I was experimenting with different pictures that I could use for background because I was having difficulty with my green screen, and I discovered this one worked really well. So that's the reason that, but I've also formulated a theory that if you use a darker screen for a green screen image, and when it contains a fair amount of green and red, it works best. So I will be testing the theory over the next few weeks. I have set up my visual backgrounds so that I can pop into my catalog of, I don't know, 100,000 pictures or so. I'm still waiting to try and figure out how to do a video background. Have you figured that out, Leroy?
No, the video backgrounds I haven't. I think I could put a GIF up there though. But you need to look at that picture a little closer because it's not lost in space.
Oh. Is that,
Come on, you've got this. You know it.
what's the director that was the world's worst director? Planet
Oh,
Nine?
no. You're way off. Way off.
Forbidden Planet?
This is Forbidden Planet.
Forbidden Planet. I'm not up on my sci-fi.
Yeah. I was going to say, Art, you might want to put that on eBay, but it doesn't really look like the 2GSs bring much.
I just leave it there in my garage as part of my
History of computers.
well, not so much. It's just a matter of I'm too lazy to clean out the garage. It's too big a task at this point. I'll let my heirs
Figure it out.
Yeah, well, I figured the simplest way to do it is to buy a double wide dumpster or rent a double wide dumpster, put it in a driveway and hire a bunch of guys from Home Depot to come in and throw everything out. That would be the simplest way. Problem is I'm too emotionally attached to all the junk in my garage.
Yeah.
So it's like you trying to get clearing out your storage locker there. I start getting rid of stuff and I think, oh, let me look at this. And next thing you know, a couple hours have gone by and I haven't dumped the thing. So
You got an emotion like me, you got an emotional attachment to stuff that you know logically you're never going to use, but you can't let it out of your grasp.
you got that right. And I've got the same thing with this 10,000 books that I've got in my house here. I've got bookcases and bookcases and bookcases. And the reality is most of those I'm never going to read again.
Yeah.
But getting rid of them is an emotional leap I'm not prepared to make. So, you know.
Well, the 2GS is one of those interesting pieces of computer history, and it was a transition piece. And
But
that's
it's a very short period.
yeah.
I don't think it was only for sale for more than a year or two, something like
Oh,
that.
I think it was only marketed to schools. But
That's probably possible.
yeah,
That's certainly where I got it, through a deal with the schools.
with the school, yeah. Because that's where I ended up getting a 2GS from, was from the school.
Oh, you own a 2GS also?
I did. I put it on eBay years ago when it was actually worth some money to do it.
Well, it was not inexpensive when I bought it, as I recall. I think it was about $2,500, something like that.
I went to a school auction. God, it's been a while ago. but the guy opened the door to one of the classrooms, and in this classroom were probably 400 Apple IIs and Apple II GSs and some Macintoshes and some other stuff. And he said, I'm going to sell the entire classroom. And I got the entire classroom for like $100. And I was like, what am I going to do with all this crap?
Is this when you still had the shop?
It was when I still had the shop, and we were selling stuff on eBay, and we made good money off of that $100 investment. My partner was like, why did you buy that? It's a lot of work. And I'm like, trust me, it's worth the $100. It's worth the time to go and clean that room out. But I found there was a weird, it wasn't Token Ring, it was some other weird network that at the time I found the guy who actually invented the network on the internet, and he said that he had lost all his network cards and everything. He didn't have any of that, and he offered me more than $100 just to send him the network cards out of the computers. And I was
Oh,
like,
really?
okay. He told me a whole big long history behind how they invented this network and how it worked and everything. And then he said, oh, by the way, I will give you like $1,000 for the network cards you've got, because I don't have any anymore. And I want a piece of my history. I'm like, sure, I'll even do that with free shipping. No problem.
So you, it wasn't Token Ring.
No, it was some
It obviously
weird,
wasn't Ethernet.
it was some weird, the guy developed it specifically for schools. I think it was called SchoolNet or
Really?
something like that.
There was School Bus for Apple.
School Bus, maybe that's what it was.
School bus. Now there's a catchy name for it.
It was, you had a machine. They all had what looked like ISA cards, but of course they're not ISA cards. But you had put these all in there, and it was basically a serial kind of connection. But one of the cards, all the cards had switches that said master or slave. And so you could set one of them to be the master. And you said that the master one would be the teacher's computer, obviously, and she could watch anything that you were doing on your computer. So if you were struggling with doing the math problem or whatever, she could come along and help you right from her desk without having to walk down the road. She could just punch in your computer number and help you. And I was like, well, that's kind of cool. But it was, he said, it was slow, and it did like a loop. It came back. So it was kind of like a ring, but it wasn't that kind of protocol. It wasn't a Token Ring protocol. It was some weird thing that they were doing. And
So
He
this
said-
was a
he said
star
the-
architecture?
do what?
No, it was Ring.
It was
Oh.
a ring architecture?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he said one of the big problems with that network was because they stuck the switch for master and slave on every machine. If you knew what you were doing, you could just open the computer up and become the master of everything.
Yeah,
So
with
he said
30
it
or
was,
40 kids out there.
he said it was a well-intentioned but poorly designed idea.
Well, it let all of the cards be identical.
Yeah. Which ultimately kept the cost down, but
Yep.
they found out quickly that kids were curious about what that switch did.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, that
so
card remapped the video memory between the machines so that the
Yep.
teacher could see the displays. It was pretty cool.
yeah, it really was. And he said that what I ended up with was the first version of the cards, because my version still had the master and slave switch on them. And he said the later versions of it didn't, because they found out that people were curious about what that did. So,
Well, the later ones just had a jumper,
yeah.
and if
Or
the jumper
something.
was on, it became master, but it only read it on power up. So you could shut your machine off, short out the pins, turn it back on, and it became the master.
Yeah. But he was a really cool guy to talk to, and he really wanted the original cards, because he said he had lost all the original cards that he had. He had a couple of the second and third versions of it, but he didn't have the original. And so he bought all the originals I had, and I had like 400 of these stupid things, because I had like 400 apples.
Good grief.
He probably thought he was getting a good deal by giving me $1,000 for them, for all of them. And I was like, I paid $100 for all the apples, and nobody wants to network an apple like that. So, so sure, I'll pull the cards out. I don't care.
Well, if you look back at that inventory now, the real value would be in the Apple IIs.
Yeah. Well, it always was. It was. I mean, I was getting really, really good money for those Apple IIs, but having all those cards in there, and I was able to identify most of those cards, and that was one of the cards that I just couldn't identify. And so I started searching, and I found the guy who invented it, which I thought was really cool.
So did you mostly sell them off as parts or sell them off as complete computers?
I had monitors and the whole 9 yards. There were, I think, out of the 400 machines, I think I had 40 or 50 of them that didn't work, and of course those became parts. But most of them, I was able to sell them as complete machines. And
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, the Apple IIs today would be worth a fair number of bucks, I would guess.
They were worth some decent money back then. And my partner, like I said, my partner was kind of mad at me that I bought the entire room. And I was like, trust me on this one. We're going to be all right.
So those are Apple IIes, were they?
I had a couple of 2Es, a couple of 2E pluses. Well, the majority were 2Es. I had some 2E pluses. I had some GSs. I probably had about 100 GSs. There was some Mac Classics in that mix. There was a color Mac, which I had never seen before. There was just all kinds of stuff. There were printers. There was just all kinds of stuff. External drives, both the old style drive and the newer style that the GS is used. I mean, it was
these were floppy drives, right?
Mm-hmm. I got some actual hard drives. I think they were 20 meg hard drives, because the GS could use a hard drive, and some of the Macs could use a hard drive, an external hard drive.
To this day, I still think Apple Works was one of the best pieces of software ever made.
Yeah. I wish I would have kept a couple of the Macs. I miss the Macs. The Mac Classic was classic. It was a classic machine. But I should have kept a couple of those. But I was perfectly happy. I ended up with, I think two of the GSs that were signed by Steve Wozniak.
Really?
Yeah. Those, unfortunately, I didn't get as much for those as I thought I would. They became collector's items. I ended up with a couple of 2Cs out of the deal, the portables. I've still got a 2C in my closet. So it was a good haul. It was a good haul for $100.
So you mostly sold those on eBay or what?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really even at the time, that was really the only place where you were going to get the kind of money that you deserve for those things.
So this was like in the 90s or the
No, that was well, it's yeah, almost the 90s, 99, 90, 2000, early 2000.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before I forget, what's the name of the movie on your backdrop there so I can look it up when I get offline? Forbidden Planet?
That's it.
Okay, I'll look it up.
It's one of the best sci-fi movies from the 50s.
Since you like that stuff, do you ever watch Svengoolie on Saturdays?
I haven't
Oh,
watched
yeah.
Spenguli in a while.
I record him every Saturday.
Oh, do you really? I
Oh.
watch him too. It's so corny, it's good.
Yeah, it is corn, his cornometer, yeah.
He's the only one left. All Elvira and all the other horror guys, he's the only guy left from what I know
Really?
that, have a show that pan old movies.
There's on YouTube, there's a channel called Creature Features, and they play old horror movies and sci-fi
Well, I'm
movies.
talking about regular TV.
This guy that does Creature Features, he broadcasts out in California
Okay.
over the air.
But they do a lot of corn.
Yeah, I saw him on YouTube though. I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. So
They have a show after Svengoolie called Spawn of Svengoolie, and that's all cornball stuff. All the people that watch it dress up and do their own shtick.
there you go.
This
I
is
put
this is like the Trekkies.
They're kind of along the Truckee vein, but it's hard. How would you describe Svengoolie, Jim?
I don't know. He's a hoot.
Remember, we had the Cool Ghoul back in the day.
I remember the Cool Ghoul.
Channel
remember.
19.
Past Prime Playhouse too.
Oh yeah, Bob Tree. Little Kings was their sponsor, and they said half the crew would be drunk by the middle of the show. That's Svengoolie.
Yeah.
He's got Elvira up there. She was out of Pittsburgh, I think. Rich Cause. They're out of near Chicago.
Yeah, me and Gail watch it every week just to see what bad humor. He's got bad humor. It's so bad, it's funny.
Yeah. But they get all these old movies that no one would ever rent, and they pan them,
Yeah, they're he's like the MSK 3000 of bad horror movies.
Yeah.
Who was the guy, Billy Bob, whatever, with a cowboy hat, did the same thing? Bob, it's like out of Texas or whatever.
Don't know that one. These are the people I watch on YouTube.
All YouTube creature feature.
Yeah. They've kind of got their own shtick. You know, this chick, she doesn't talk. He's the butler. He's supposed to be an aging rock star that likes watching old horror movies.
Kind of like Kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kiss on acid.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's I think that's redundant.
Yeah.
I don't think
There-
Kiss existed without acid.
No comment. They creature features, it's pretty good. You can tell he wants to be a Spenguli kind of thing. But I put a link in the chat for Forbidden Planet.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's the Wikipedia link. Yeah.
Well, it's something.
Yep.
Because I don't think you can actually watch that movie for free. I think you actually have to pay for it because it's actually a good movie.
I didn't
That was one of
realize.
the first Robbie the Robots, wasn't it?
Robbie, yep. Yeah,
I
you have.
didn't realize that Leslie Nielsen was in that.
Yes, before he became a comedic actor, he actually was a very serious actor.
Serious actor. That was Police Academy. And then what are the brothers? Zucker brothers, whatever that.
Well, he was also in several airplane movies.
Oh yeah, airplane movies. Yep.
And he and OJ and there was a third guy were in a whole series of them.
Yeah, Police
So-
Academy. But it went on
Nope.
from there, like you say,
You're-
the
You're
airplane movies.
you're thinking of Naked Gun.
Naked Gun.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
You're not Police Academy. You're thinking Naked Gun and airplane or was it airplane? Airplane
Airplane, yeah.
was the spoof of airport disaster movies.
Yeah.
And Airplane was actually almost a shot-for-shot remake of a old movie called 0 Hour. But with a comedic take to it.
Obviously, we have too much time on our hands.
Yeah, you're educating me, Leroy.
That's because I have no life and I sit around and watch old movies.
What was that Ed Wood, Planet 9 or whatever?
Planet 9 from Outer Space. That
Worst
was
movie ever, but it was so bad it was good in a certain way.
that is the classic bad horror movie, sci-fi that had Elvira, not Elvira, that had Vampira as Ann Winters, and
And
she
and a heroin addicted Bella Lugosi.
and Bela Lugosi, who was replaced by his dentist or something because he died while they were filming.
Is that right?
And anytime the vampire comes up with his cape up over his eyes, that was his dentist, not
that
Bella. Or if you see him walking from behind, if you see him walking away from the camera, that was probably the dentist, not Bela Lugosi, because he died while they were filming that show, or while they were filming that movie.
Yeah, well, he was pretty long in the tooth by the time those movies came along, because I think he had been an actor back in the 20s or the early talkies.
The early right after the silent movies.
Yeah.
He was one creepy guy.
Yeah. Wasn't he a heroin addict?
Uh,
I think he was.
well, I don't know. Fill in the blanks, okay? Wasn't he a heroin junkie?
And
Let's-
Ed Wood had a girlfriend, but he liked to dress in women's clothes, I think.
Ed Wood was a weird guy.
Yeah. He was a heterosexual that liked dressing in women's clothes.
Well, like J. Edgar Hoover.
Yeah.
Like one of Biden's White House guys, yeah,
Is that right?
yeah. He stole women's clothes from the airport off the luggage rack. What was he?
Yeah, I heard that about J. Edgar Hoover, but they said they can never prove it for sure, but they kept strongly saying it.
Bela Lugosi got typecast as a vampire because he played vampires.
But that back in the day, that was Lon Chaney Jr., all those guys. They made a lot of horror movies. Peter Lorre.
Yeah.
Peter Lorre was another one of these guys who was creepy, even when he wasn't in
Creep. Yeah, he
costume.
was in a typecast as creepy. And
Yeah.
that creep factor. Wasn't he
Well,
in Casablanca?
He had, I don't know that he was in one of those bogey movies.
Classic. Maltese Falcon, maybe.
Yeah, the Maltese Falcon, I think. Those were the days.
Classic noir.
The silent picture guys all had a very kind of similar look to them, and when they went to talkies, you know, they changed quite a bit, but they still had that same creepy silent picture look to them.
Well, a whole bunch of them didn't make the leap to talkies.
Yeah.
Because it turned out that
They
didn't have
talk
the
well.
voice, didn't have the voice for it, and so forth and so
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a famous silent actress, and she was watching a talkie movie. She was crying to the whole thing. She had a heavy Brooklyn accent. She said, "I know my career's over." And she was very famous silently, but once talkies came out, because of that accent, she could never land a role.
Yeah.
Well, Charlie Chaplin certainly made a huge fortune, which he stole away to Switzerland without paying the taxes.
Yeah, and he married that young writer's daughter.
I don't remember this.
O'Neill, the Eugene O'Neill's daughter. He married her. She was in her 20s or whatever. He was in his 70s, and he had fathered children in his 70s.
Well, maybe he discovered Viagra early.
Yeah.
I put a link to a YouTube video of airplane versus 0 Hour with all the shot for shot things that they did.
So to know that, you had to be familiar with both movies. Pick it up.
Yeah, and until I saw that video, I actually did. I wasn't even aware of 0 hour.
Was
0
it?
hours. It seems like a what do you call it? A drama. And of course, Airplane is a comedy. So it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny to think that they saw that show and said, "Oh, this is really funny."
That Airplane was like the Towering Inferno and all those movies where there was disasters.
Mm-hmm.
That was
Oh, and the one where the luxury liner capsized, what was it? I don't remember the,
the Titanic. That was later.
no, it was a luxury liner that capsized, turned upside down.
Poseidon
Uh,
Adventure.
Poseidon Adventure, you're right.
Gene Hackman was in that, wasn't he?
I don't recall. I don't think I got all the way through that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's just so much camp that I can handle. And after that, it's,
It didn't hit the plausibility mirror, so you checked out, huh?
yeah, something like that.
Gene Hackman, Shelley Winters, Carol Lynn, Ernest Borgnine, Red Buttons. They were all in Poseidon.
Yeah, that's when I was not even a teenager, I don't think.
Well, in my case, I can't claim that.
1972. I was 2 years old.
Oh, yeah. I was 11.
Well, okay. I'm not going to tell you how old I was, but I'll put it this way. I was already voting.
You've given us other clues, Art. I bet we could figure it out.
Oh, yeah, probably could.
I don't know.
Well, yeah, the fact that I had my novice license in 1957 probably would be one clue.
I went down to the library to get my taxes done through ARP, and they're making a big headway on that. What is it, condo or apartments right next door?
Which library is this?
The Westchester Library. They're building a big condo or whatever.
Oh, that's where they took that real estate had been sitting there forever. I always wondered when they were going to turn that into a paying revenue source.
Well, they're working on it. Looks like it's going to be pretty big building.
This is right back of where the McDonald's is there, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's where who had that drone, and we launched it in that field. That was
Yep.
the field we launched it in.
That field now has about 10 elevator shafts in it and a
Yeah,
whole
that's
bunch of
right.
parking spaces.
Bunch of elevator shafts and a building being built right there. And then that on Tylersville Road where that barn used to be, that big barn with a silo that was deaded in for years. It was like something hit it, or they said a cow hit it and it dented. They're going to put condos or right there along where the WLW tower or radio tower is. Since they opened up Costco, it's a lot busier there than it was down at Tri-County, even during the week.
Where's the Costco around there?
It's right off of Cox Road, right near Christ Hospital, right off of Cox and Hamilton.
That's
Liberty Way.
that. Sorry,
Right
I
along.
have a
75, and
better
they have
concept of Osaka than
they have a
downtown.
right along 75, and they got a direct connection onto 129 that spills out right there. There's
Okay.
a rotary there.
What used to be Mike Fox Highway.
Yeah, Mike, until he got the scandaled. Yeah, they took the name off of it. He was he passed all legislation to get that through. They named it after him, and he had a political misfortune, and they took the name off the highway and named it Veterans. Isn't it Veterans Boulevard now?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Political misfortune. Now there is the ultimate euphemism.
Yeah. He got caught. He got caught in a scandal or taking bribes. And when he got caught, he even his party didn't stick up for him because he had made so many political enemies, even in his own party. So he went down very fast. So I don't know the details. I just know it wasn't good for him.
Political misfortune. I will have to remember that phrase. That was a great line. I remember when I lived in New Jersey a long time ago, back in the 70s, one of the two senators from New Jersey had a political misfortune and ended up in federal prison for it. His name was Harrison Williams, and he got caught in a payoff from a bunch of fake Arabs that were in costume. And it turned out, I forget, I think they were FBI or something like that. And they videotaped the whole thing. And I remember looking at those videos and thinking, he didn't catch on. He must have been drunk, because it was obvious that these guys weren't Arabs. They had the whole turban and some sheets on and so forth and so on. They
look like Spenguli. That's how bad they look.
It was so camp. I was living in New Jersey at the time, so I was obviously more amused about it than I think it was called ab scam. Anybody remember that term, ab scam?
I'll look it up.
Ab scam.
I don't remember that, but
Ab scam and Harrison Williams.
There's Abscam 1980 scandal.
Yep.
Yep.
Does it say anything about Harrison Williams?
Says here, Harrison A. Williams, John W. Murphy, Mel Weinberg.
Yep. Yep. I wasn't actually in New Jersey there anymore. This is after I moved to California.
But it 81.
It started in the late 70s.
Started in the late 70s.
Yeah, I moved.
Oh yeah, it says, yeah, late 70s. Yeah, started in the late 70s.
I remember those fake Arabs. It was so
Well,
funny.
he should have been tried on being stupid. Be duped by
Oh yeah.
like Colombo Arabs, when they had the Arabs in the Colombo episode.
I watch Columbo on the antenna, what are the Kozai or antenna TV sometimes.
Yeah. They weren't allowed to call them Arabs or something because of something. So they made up some foreign country, and it was just bad. It was just sad. Some white guy who was clearly not an Arab.
But just a moment.
Abscam.
Yeah, I remember Abscam very well. Actually, I moved to California in December of 79, so I was right on the cusp of Harrison Williams, yes.
Yeah.
Does it say how long he served?
I didn't read all of it.
No, how long he served in prison.
Yeah,
I'm sure he's long dead now.
I'm looking here. Resigned on March 11th, and let's see.
Served 2 years of his 3-year sentence in Newark. Served the rest of his term at the Integrity House Halfway House, where he later became a member of the board of directors until his death by cancer, November 17th, 2001.
Hmm.
And he asked Clinton for a pardon. It was denied.
Sounds like that song Beautiful Loser written about Richard. Even though he went to jail, he was on the board of this institution.
Harrison Williams, yes, I remember him well. I mean, if you if you had a list of stupid politicians, he had to be fairly well up the rank.
Well, Jerry Springer's one, he paid for a prostitute with a check. And that
Jerry Springer did?
yeah, he was going to run for governor as mayor. He paid for a prostitute with a check. They're going to bring all that stuff up. So he declined to run for like state office in Ohio.
Yeah, he was mayor of Cincinnati, right?
Yeah, when he
Yeah.
paid for a prostitute with a check.
And now he's a TV thing.
Making
was a
tens of
TV
millions
thing.
of dollars a year.
He was a news person too, right?
Yeah, Channel 5
Yeah.
for at least 5
Yeah.
years.
WLWT.
And he knocked Nick Clooney. Nick Clooney was #1 for years, and he and Norma teamed up, and they beat Nick Clooney, and he ended up going to California and then Utah for a little bit.
See, I know a bunch of stuff about old sci-fi, but I know nothing about local politics.
That's
Well,
probably a more comfortable place to be.
all politics is local to some degree.
Isn't that what Tip O'Neill said?
Oh yeah,
All politics is local.
yeah.
And Tip was a pretty good politician.
He certainly was. He certainly didn't make a lot of enemies, which is
He was well liked on both sides of the aisle. And then when he got out of politics, he did some commercials for like Hilton or something and was criticized for that. And then he was like a forerunner because after that, a lot of politicians dashed in on TV commercials after he did it.
Well, politics of old are not the same as politics of today.
this is definitely true.
I have to agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Much
Well,
more, much more
Unless you want to count in Ben Franklin.
yeah.
Well, yes. Talk
I
about
think
a
the
guy.
only real difference is communication is easier and faster now.
Oh yeah. Well, to some degree, that was what did in Nixon also.
Yeah.
I mean, you went from an age where, communication was a tortuous process to an age where, you couldn't pass gas without some reporter recording the whole thing.
And now everyone's got a camera within their phone, so everything gets
Yeah.
captured today.
That's for sure.
All the street cameras and all that stuff.
Yeah, you're very seldom not on camera when you're out in public.
I never saw the movie The Truman Show, but that was the topic of that movie, The Truman Show. Everyone being on camera all the time.
Well,
That was a Jim Carrey was in that movie. I never saw it, but I heard about it.
Worth watching.
Well, is it worth watching?
Yeah.
I'll have to look it up then.
Ooh,
Hi
Hello.
there.
Salute.
Howdy, y'all. Hey, Art's sitting outside.
Well, yep,
It's a
pretty-
pretty
pretty
day out.
Sun.
it's pretty chilly out here.
Well,
Although-
Leroy's sitting outside
It's
too.
Mike. I haven't seen Mike in a while. Mike Jones.
Oh, who's that? Is that Mike?
Mike Lau, I rode your recumbent bike, your motorized bike, and my friend Jim and Betsy motorized their bike with the help of Mike Sullivan.
All right. So
A motor and an LED.
you're the
back.
yoga guy, right?
Yeah. Yep. And
You haven't seen.
I haven't seen Mike Sullivan in a while, but he helped for a few weeks.
He was here 3 or 4 weeks ago.
For many weekends, he'd go to Jim and Betsy's house and help her motorize that tandem bike.
This is a tandem or
It's a
recumbent?
tandem. It's a tandem out of Australia. It's a low riding tandem bike.
So you have to pedal it counterclockwise?
No, but
That's just bad.
the company got bought out. Greenspan or Greenspeed, and they got bought out by a company in Michigan. So let me see if I can find it. But she drove to Indianapolis to buy the trike.
Oh, it's
Okay.
a trike.
Well, it was a dual trike. Type in Greenspeed trikes, and they started in Australia, and they, like I said, they got bought out by a place in Michigan. Founded by Ian Sims in 1990 in Australia. But I don't know how to put stuff up on the internet there
Good.
on our session.
Go down to where it says share screen.
Okay, I'll see if I can. Their model doesn't exist anymore. It's a two-seater. It's a two-seater. But,
So this wasn't recumbent.
it was a recumbent two-seater bike,
Side by side or fore and aft?
fore and aft.
Huh.
Captain, and I wish I had I'll try to get the picture and I'll show it to you sometime. I got it on my phone. But it's a really nice bike. And I last time I went riding is on October 15th on the bike trail. And I haven't been up to where Kings Mill is, but I know they're doing a lot of work up there, and the trail is shut down for like 2 years.
Here you go.
Oh, okay.
Is that-
Oh,
Is that it?
No, it's a lot longer than that right there. And
But it's similar.
similar, but yeah, similar. They don't make that model anymore, but I don't know what she paid for it, but it wasn't cheap.
That
But
looks
I've
like
ridden on it many a time.
they've got some extenders or
Yeah,
something.
something like that. Yeah, right there, similar to that. And she's got the motor in the back against the back wheel, and then there's a battery that she, hooks into it, a lithium battery, and
These are-
it can store the brake power going downhill.
oh, nice.
These are not
They've
great pictures.
ridden they've gone on trips. Yeah, that's a single right there, but they've gone on trips to Vermont. Yeah, similar to that right there. To Vermont, to all over the Alabama. Yeah, similar to that.
Wow. Is it foldable?
No,
Wow.
similar to that, 2 wheels in the front, 1 wheel in the back. But what theirs was made in Australia, but was someone bought it over here. But then if you look it up, the cup, I don't know what company in Michigan bought them. But
That's interesting.
the thing about it is, it's so low, when you hit a bump, you can really feel the road. There's not a lot of shock absorption. But I mean, we pedal hard, and to get up to 10 mile an hour steady, you were really huffing and puffing. With that motor on there, you can go 14 and you're pedaling some, but the quality of ride is so much better with the motor on there. And you can go on a level stretch or going down here easily 25 mile an hour. After you go 25 mile an hour, if you try to go beyond that, you almost feel like you're going to lose control. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So low to the ground.
Yeah, it
So
makes the hills a little nicer too.
Yeah.
Otherwise, a slight grade could be grueling.
Myrtle, yeah, you're right. I mean,
So the steering is in front, right?
steering is in front. The captain does all the steering, and you're in the back. You don't do much of any braking. You're just there doing the horsepower. So the captain in the front is really doing all the directing and steering and braking. Then she's got a lever that she put on there, so she's operating the juice from the front. You know, there's a tape the electric all the way to the front.
Yeah.
So the drive wheel's in front as well?
No, the drive, well, there's kind of a
Yeah,
drive
it's rear wheel drive.
rear wheel. It's mostly rear wheel.
Mm-hmm.
There is this, but it's the rear. Yeah, the rear wheel drive, the motorized part of it is in the rear.
Yeah, you almost need, when you got the port, I say get my rights and lefts. So your axle needs to come across and be supported on both ends. On the front, you only have one sticking down,
Yeah.
and to put a motor hanging off that end, it's not, yeah,
That
they're
makes
real
sense.
pricey to do electrical conversion on that.
Yeah, you need to keep your balance right and your center of gravity right.
Yeah, that too, if you had two drives, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if I got a picture, Jim, here that I can.
What kind of a battery do they use there? Lithium ion or something else?
Battery. Lithium battery.
I think we have Art's interest peak there.
The last time I was on a bicycle, I think my older daughter was 10 years old. So I don't do things that put me at physical risk anymore.
Yeah.
Can you see that right there?
Oh, yeah.
That was April 15. I was riding with her.
Wow.
That was up in Xenia.
April 15th of 2022.
2022, yeah. That's the front right there. And the back, I don't know if there's a better picture. See if I can get into a better picture.
Talk about sitting low to the ground. Look at
Yeah, you are.
this.
It's sitting very low to the ground.
Look at that guy. That guy's almost laying flat on the ground.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
you'd have to be
solid
careful
wheels.
about letting your hands go down. You'd be dragging your knuckles in the gravel.
He's obviously a racer or something, because he's got a chase car following him, but my gosh. That's low enough. Ray's trying to come. Ray's almost here.
Okay, there's Ray.
Hi, Ray. Ray ended up with a bunch of robots this past week. I wonder
Oh,
what
he
he
adopted
got
some?
those. Yeah.
Yeah, adopted them.
Ah,
Hey, Ray.
Hey, Ray.
Oh,
So is that a green screen or is that actually your office?
And that's my office. Yeah. I'm guessing that's a green screen behind you.
Yeah. it
Congrats.
is.
no, he decided to drag this entire setup out onto the front porch and
Yeah.
transport himself to Milford really
Yeah.
fast.
So Ray, how many days a month are you allowed to be in the state of Ohio?
Well, lately I've been in Ohio a lot. I've actually got caught up on a lot of my projects, and last month we hired another technician and another marketing person. So Rabbit Laser is starting to take care of itself a little bit better. The technician that I hired, 2 years ago, he is really self-sufficient. He's getting better, but if I need to send him to Pittsburgh or Indianapolis or Charlotte, I can send him, and I feel pretty confident he's going to get it done. Or he just gives me a call and asks some questions, and at least I can guide him through it. And it's not like teaching a monkey how to solve a Rubik's cube. So he's doing pretty good. And then the different buildings, they're pretty much at the end of each renovation, except for the journal building. And the journal building, I'm going to be working on that for years. But I've got a new company that wants to put a winery in there. And with that idea, it's a big motivator for me to get over there and get more done. So we've been probably spending like 4 hours a day over there, at least. Tomorrow I'll probably be there 10 hours, and I'll spend most of the weekend there. But they're wanting to actually be in full swing within 6 weeks. And I'm like, that's really pushing it. So
is this going to be a winery or just a tasting room?
Oh, it's a full winery. They're actually mixing different flavors, different apples and alcohol, and storage and long-term fermentation, as well as you go in there and you have hot lunch. So it's pretty nice.
So now are they moving from someplace else or setting up?
No, this guy has 4 other locations, and so adding a 5th is like old hats. Like, hey, this is who we're going to use to make stairs. This is who we're going to use to do the ADA ramp. This is who we've got for doing the kitchen area. This is who we got for doing paint. And I told him, like, well, I've got my own crew for doing demolition, electrical, and paint. Obviously, the space and the windows are already done. So the space is being stripped
So it's going to be
down.
on the first level?
As you walk through the building, or you walk outside on the sidewalk, and you've got a doorway, you go in the door and you actually go down 4 feet. The ceilings in there are like 14 or 15 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of neat. So that's it's my newest, latest, greatest project, and I'm just hoping it turns out good. but they're really pushing to get the other parts of the building up to par, similar or close after the winery being done. Because if you've got a winery, it's somewhat of a high end, it's a high end bar, really, where you go in, you can get any cappuccino, latte, whatever you want, plus wine, beers, some cold sandwiches, some hot sandwiches, brisket, whatever. Right above that, there is a 4,000 square foot, well, it's probably 3,000 square foot, maybe a little bit bigger. It's the banquet hall. Above that is 2,500 square foot banquet hall. There's 27 offices and maker space and a store and all kinds of space. But the guys in the winery, they want so much of it all to come together at the same time, and that means a lot of work for me, a lot of investment, time investment, money investment. So
That area's been deemed the theater district because of the Sword Theater, isn't it correct?
I could agree with that. I mean, that's the Sword Theater is a common topic for conversation, but the outside of the building for the Sword Theater is, man, it's caving in. It's
I know
really
I've been there
problematic.
times. They're
And the
working on it.
inside is like they keep renovating it, and then they have another party, another concert, and people beat the hell out of it. So I just don't know what to think sometimes. But my building, it's all concrete and stone, so just hoping it lasts longer. But keep working on it. Yeah.
How long was that building empty before you took?
It was empty for 7 years, and the guy he was trying to turn it into loft apartments, and I just don't think it was the right area for it. It doesn't have the right structure inside to add all the water and the plumbing. He tried building an apartment in 4 different locations in the building, and he just never got it right. So I'm done. I'm done with him. But yeah, he's been gone for 2+ years, and in the meantime, I've had all the roofs redone, all the windows redone, and we're taking out more and more garbage. It's like every week. So, and we are also repainting walls, restructuring walls, taking out old electric, putting in new electric. It's like constantly happening. I'm gonna have $100,000 in 5 HVAC units, plus it's gonna be more than that. 5, 6, 7 or 8 HVAC units. It'll probably be 150,000. Then I got to fix all the elevators. Refinish all the staircases, paint everything. It's a lot of work. Then obviously there's all the networking and electronics that goes into the building. Even simple stuff like rekeying all the doors. Oh my gosh, there's probably 80 doors in the building. So.
Just build a robot to go and rekey all the doors.
Yeah. Big knife to cut the handles off. Yeah.
BattleBot.
No. Like, I don't know if some of you guys went through the building before and you saw that there was like paintings and stuff, and a couple of the paintings were pretty decent. Yeah, the rest of them are in the garbage now. There was like 60 baskets. Some of the nicer ones, people took them home. The rest of the wicker baskets, they're in the garbage. Bunches of ceramics and glasses and dishes and stuff. Half those are in the garbage. Some of them I felt guilty. I was like, I got to give these to Goodwill or something. So
What was
we'll do
there
what we
after
can there.
that? What was there after the Middletown Journal? Because they didn't need wicker baskets and figurines and stuff.
No, the building was empty because the Middletown Journal had moved. Cox Media bought them out.
Yeah.
And then the guy that bought the building had an arrangement that he had to remediate all of the any asbestos that he found. So he took special asbestos classes and he remediated. He did a good job, actually. That's like the only thing he did good for the building. But his investor got a little shaky and decided to leave. So this guy was there with no money, had this big building. He only paid like $1,000 for it. And he did all this work and tried to put in some apartments and it failed. And he was $31,000 in debt for taxes because he didn't pay taxes for like 7 years. So I went to auction and I bought the building. I actually paid way more than I should have. I spent like $130,000 to buy the building. So, but you know, I really believe that with the right renovation and work, I'll definitely be able to get my money back out of it. Not just to sell it, but to rent it, use it. So.
Oh, right down the street, that CG&E building that was used for like accounting offices and everything, that was donated to Cincinnati State, wasn't it?
I don't know. There's the Manchester. There's a couple of other buildings down through there that, man, they're bad. They're really, really bad. I mean, like, I would not want any other projects going on if I took on those projects. Them's ugly.
Manchester is falling apart, right?
Oh yeah.
Right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's falling apart inside and outside. There's a lot of water damage.
You should just tear it down, start over.
No, it's got some good bones. Both the Manchester actually, there's the hotel and convention center, and then right next to that is this. I think it's a 2-story building, maybe it's a 3-story. But I think it's a 3-story building actually. There's a basement, ground level for storefronts, and then the upstairs for loft apartments, nice apartments. And I put in a bid to buy the hotel and the store, but the city just felt like I didn't have enough contractor contacts and spare money to throw at it to get it done. So that, experience or whatever. But I'm going to let whoever took over the project, we're going to watch them for the next 5 years. It's going to go to crap. And then, I want to talk to the city again. Say, hey, what happened? Because I would bet that they gave that building away for $1 and no taxes for 10 years.
Sounds like the city.
Well, whoever got it, I mean, so long as they've got a plan and they've got people to do renovations and tear out, it needs all new electric, HVAC, windows, everything. It's crazy.
I think I know 2 people that have been in that building and have taken stuff out to try to, but you're one of them. But I knew another guy who went in and he took a bunch of weird electronic parts that were in there. And then he wanted to know if they were worth anything. I was like,
nope.
yeah,
Not
if
worth nothing.
they're in the hotel.
Now, literally what happened for the hotel was, they were losing money. It was a dying dream. And, the staff was like just losing motivation. And the owner just, walked everybody up to the front door. He said, hey, let's have a meeting. And the meeting was this: the game is over.
Go
leave.
home.
And they left the kitchen just as it was, everything. I mean,
Yeah, they said there were hot
trays,
tag- hot
racks,
tag and everything. They just left. it.
everything, all of it just sitting right as it was. It was like, guys, game over. Go to your cars and leave. And the manager just, he was done. I mean, I walked through and that looks like exactly like, it was like the owners just died and everybody walked out. They didn't bother to clean out their offices. There were hotel rooms that looked like they were ready to rent out. Others looked like homeless people been living there for 6 months. Yeah. There's some pretty nasty stuff upstairs. Me and some guys from the city went through there, looking at stuff and to see what the options were. It's crazy.
Yeah, my
Some
my
of the
other
investment, the projects I've done, I feel like I'd be better off just to take my money, buy a sports car, and take my wife, my girlfriend to the beach, go do some partying, because some of these buildings, it's like you sink all that money into it and you get nothing back. I'm at the edge just hoping that I break even on the journal building. I mean, you guys know that I invested in the urgent care, I invested in this other building. And if I didn't do that, man, I could play with robots all week. Do nothing else. I'd be retired like Jim. Mr. Poobah. You got the good life, man.
Yeah.
Is that what they call it, Jim?
Yeah. Play with cameras all day. It's a good life.
I'd be chasing raccoons and
Yeah.
whatever else.
I believe that.
I was doing sheetrock today, guys.
Or yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
hanging sheetrock.
I was redoing the kitchen. I held the sheetrock up for the guy for a minute.
Here, let me hold that for you.
Yeah.
I got like probably 300 sheets of drywall I got to do. I'm not looking forward to it.
That's why you hire people, Ray.
Yep. Damn straight.
But
I'm so done with going out there and doing it all myself.
Yeah, it's hard work watching those guys work. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Wearing me
Problem
down.
is having money to pay everybody. That's the crazy part. And then hoping they do it right. Oh man.
That's why you got to hire somebody to supervise, so you don't have to supervise.
Then what do I do? Just stand back and pay out money.
You hire a supervisor to supervise your supervisor.
Yeah. Then you go to the beach.
And then you go to the
Redneck
beach
Riviera.
with your girlfriend and
With my
wife.
girlfriend, my girlfriend wife. Yeah.
Your girlfriend and wife.
No, that's not a good plan.
See how well
And hope
See
that
how
the
well
two
that
never shall
lasts.
meet. I saw you guys had bicycles when I first got onto the video. Recumbent bike.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember back in 1998, I worked for Huffy Bicycles, and
Okay.
they built a recumbent bike for one of the shows, just to show, hey, we're building new innovative stuff. And I walked up to it and I was like, hey guys, I know you're like 95% of the way done, but how the hell is this chain gonna work? There's gears in the front and gears in the back, but there's no derailleur. And they were like, oh my gosh. And the chain was like, gosh, I think when you opened it up, it was like 15 feet long. It was crazy. They ended up having two chains and a intermediary sprocket in the middle.
So are we waiting for a bear or a deer or a
Yeah.
raccoon?
This is my wire-free camera. This is the Argus 2. I got it working. It was using too much power, and I found out if you get it in a marginal area, it'll use too much power. So I moved it in. That blue tape down there is where it was, and now it's up the hill a little bit. Working great now.
That's a nice picture.
No raccoons.
The sun's got it, yeah. Might see a squirrel, but not much activity there, really.
So how'd
That
you get
was
it to consume less power?
If you get it too far out, the amount of energy it takes to communicate goes up. You can't
Oh, okay.
marginal area.
You don't have any more porch pirates, do you, Jim?
Do what?
You don't have any more porch pirates, do you?
Oh, I had a camera out for the last porch pirate. I get a good picture of him. He's wearing a hoodie.
Did they nab them?
I sent him a picture of the guy and the car, and I never heard anything, so I don't
I
know.
remember you showing a porch pirate one time.
Yeah, and I had the mailbox pirate too. Yeah, I sent a picture of that one in.
The guy urinated in your driveway, guy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I
They
haven't had anybody steal stuff off of my porch yet.
ah. Yeah.
I'm. I don't
Jim
know, if
was
I
all
had a-
disappointed because now he can't get a shot of the front of the car with a license plate since they don't make you have a license plate in the front anymore.
See, my definition of getting a shot at the front of the car is a little different.
Now I had one. I
It's
don't
what caliber, right?
where the guy was taking a whiz at the end of my driveway.
Yeah, you told me that one.
He just stopped with him and his wife or whatever stopped. They pull up in my driveway, open the door, let it rip. Okay.
What's beeping?
Oh, that's the, let me turn that off. That's the alarm off the cameras. Boing, it's gone.
Thought he was gonna start flashing the room lights, say, hey, we've got 6 minutes left.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, am I hearing something? No, there is definitely a beeping happening.
Yep.
Well, what about the people that were talking to you? Are they gone now? Now we have real people talking to us. Oh, that's a difference. Now I have to walk down the hill and into the woods. There's a drop off of about 15 feet from the back door, and I have to run off the side of the hill. It's kind of hazardous. I'm glad I got that resolved.
How do you resolve that? Stairs?
I just moved it closer, moved the camera closer in.
Oh, yeah.
My access point is in the backyard on a pole, and I was out about probably 100 feet, and now I'm probably 75 feet out, and that was enough to make us the signal solid.
What kind of an access point are you using, Jim?
It's the TP Link. It's a cheapest one you can get. It's very simple. It's got the power PoE device, and just run the wire out the back and up the little plastic pole that I have and plug it in. You're good to go. I had I just strung 100-foot wire out and I have one that we use on Gail's running trips, and you just plug it in the back of your router and plug into this guy, and it's already set up, and it took me about 10 minutes to pull the wire out the back sliding glass door, plug it in, away you go. It's just a little router. It's a $15 router.
Yeah, Ubiquity doesn't sell anything for $15. They sell the mounting screw. They sell the mounting screws for $15.
Yeah, there you go.
They sell good
Nope.
stuff,
Yeah, they
but
do.
not
I just got
inexpensive.
this last week. So it's my new dream machine. And then so it does video input, and the dream machine also has a spot for a hard drive. And so I got a 2 terabyte hard drive. It's a SATA spinning hard drive, but that's what they recommended. They didn't actually recommend a SSD. So like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and look at this. When you buy it straight from Ubiquity, you can buy either a 1 terabyte drive or you can buy an 8 terabyte drive. And but it's compatible with a whole bunch of others. This one's interesting because I was touring some space and I found somebody, they had an old junk DVR, and I was like, those things can store movies and store your TV shows. Means they got to have a hard drive in them. So the guy was like, "Hey, take it. Thing's junk." It was already had the power cord cut off of it. It really was junk. And I took it home, and me and Aiden took some time to just tear it apart. And 2 terabyte Seagate drive. Like, sweet, that's a good find.
Did you try to mount it and see what videos were on it?
I doubt that I'm going to be able to get any movies off of it. But,
You probably can.
Might be surprised.
I've got an Easy Dock that I was going to put it into my my desktop over there to see what it might have on the drive first, and then I'll probably just format it and stick it in here. I don't need somebody else's viruses. I don't need to watch anybody else's movies.
You might find some interesting stuff there.
Yeah.
That's the problem. I might find some interesting stuff. I'm not sure I want that.
The DVR that I've got uses a proprietary format, so it may or may not work, depending
Might
upon
not be
how
able to
old
read
that
off of it
is.
all. Yeah, this was one of those hoppers, and it probably is running some form of Linux, but you never know.
Well, so it probably has. You probably would be better off plugging it into a Linux box to see what it does instead of a Windows box.
Yeah, Windows is going to say there's nothing on it.
Yep, Windows is going.
Would you like
Well,
to format it?
But
Yeah, right.
well, the guy that questionably might have owned this, he was definitely a questionable character. I'm not sure that I want anything that he was watching. I don't know. It's a little weird, but at least I got another toy to play with. This will be the core of the Ubiquity system. So we're gonna extend that Wi-Fi bridge that I've got going across town. We're gonna point one branch of it towards the Rabbit building. We're gonna get another antenna and we're gonna branch that over towards the Journal building. And I'm sharing my internet access to everybody I can. Share. Hey, well, it's mine. I'll take it to all my other buildings. It's a whole lot cheaper than paying $150 a month. If I just spend enough money to get the Nano Beam and the well, actually, all I need was 2 Nano Beams, and then get my poles fixed. I got my towers and my poles they got blown around that windstorm we had a couple weeks ago. Anybody else have damage from the wind?
Something flew off our roof in the wind, and I lost one of the screens.
My tower went from this to that.
Nice.
And absolutely just antenna. It's supposed to be a very directional antenna. And our internet went from 150 download to 5 or 4. It didn't absolutely cripple it, but it definitely did do some hurting. And
Enough
I went
to
over
notice.
there and I climbed up on top of the building and just pushed it back to where it belonged. And now our speeds are back up to like 25 and 25. But no, we definitely need to put some kind of a new tower up on the building. And
Well, what
Uh,
about
I'd just-
T-Mobile and their $50 a month?
I think that's just for household stuff. They're not gonna do that for business.
Oh, for business. Okay, for household stuff. That's
Yeah.
okay, pretty fast.
My idea is that I'm gonna put high-speed internet over at the Journal building, and then that's gonna be available as public Wi-Fi for all the businesses that are there. So we'll have, it could be up to 200 different devices that's sharing download speeds.
That fiber company that was down in the First National building down there did that years ago.
Yeah, we had fiber at the Journal building, and some homeless scrapper guy stripped all my fiber out of my building because he thought it was copper. It's all gone now.
Well, that was nice of him.
That's my version of dark web. All my fiber's gone. It's dead.
So is the building secured so that
Oh yeah,
people can't, so how'd the guy get in?
Oh, this is before the building was
Hmm.
ultimately secure. Yeah.
Oh,
Have you
okay.
seen the building? Pictures of the building?
I've seen pictures, yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful building now. Now.
Now,
Yeah.
wait,
You pay your guy that does everything for you to use wet and forget on the sidewalks and the walls, outside walls? Yeah.
That's low priority. I haven't gotten there yet.
Ah, that's good stuff. I gotta do my driveway again.
nope, nobody mentioned that it's after 7:00.
I still put my finger up, but I
Oh,
got.
did you? I didn't see you. I was looking elsewhere.
Leroy's getting hungry. That's the problem.
Yeah,
You know my number. You've got me.
he'll be right on top of that. Me too.
Patty's home. She's making lasagna tonight. Should be
Ooh.
actually cooking. I don't know if it's done yet, but it should be close. So- and the door is opening. So, all right, guys, we are live next week.
Yay.
Take care.
We're on location next week.
Should
On
be.
location, live at the library.
Yep. So hopefully I'll see everybody next week.
All right.
Okay, you have a good
I'll
week.
be there.
All right.
Take care.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.